So in today's video, I'm gonna sit down with my good friend Carles, who's an incredible cinematographer from Spain, and I'm gonna ask him a few questions. And I'm confident that the answers he will give me will also help you to navigate your own journey as a cinematographer. So now let's go down to the beach to meet him. Alright guys, there's Carles. As I said, Carles is a friend and an award-winning cinematographer. He has worked with brands such as Corona, Volkswagen, Audi, and many more. Crazy is that he started his cinematography journey only 3 years ago, and since then achieved so much. The guy is the hardest working person I know. I really like Carlos' style because it's quite dark but also very clean. He's great in working with both natural and artificial light, and I feel like his frames express emotions. When I work as a director, I always look for people that I feel connected to, and Carles is definitely one of them.
What's up? How are you, bro? Good, man. How are you?
Alright guys, we're just setting up the interview. We're in this beautiful area next to the beach in Sese, and it's really windy.
It's very windy. I don't know if you can hear it, but it's very windy.
But what are we thinking?
I think the best way is there, and it's also beautiful because we have this like kind of mark, like the palm trees acting as like guide for the eye, and then the background is more beautiful. That one is too dark, that one is too bright, that one's perfect. Okay, filming.
Alright guys, we are here with Carles.
Hello guys.
Thank you bro for coming.
Welcome, pleasure.
How are you today?
Very good, very good. I feel fresh. A bit nervous about this. Nice. I don't know why, because I've talked with you like 100 times, but I'm a bit nervous, yeah.
Yeah, just ignore the camera.
Yeah, I ignore it.
And so as I said, guys, I hope that the answers that Carlos is gonna provide are gonna bring you value, but also me. And you know, the best way you can learn is from more experienced people than yourself. So hopefully, if you are at the beginning of your career, maybe you're a filmmaker, maybe you're trying to step into the world of cinematography, you are with the right person.
Thank you.
Let's start with the first question. Carles, what is your philosophy and what are your values when it comes to cinematography and creating images?
Okay, so I have this sentence that it's a bit like opposite to what a cinematographer is, but I just felt it that way. And it says that I don't work to get the best images, but the best feelings, the higher feelings, the deepest feelings. Because I feel the work of a cinematographer doesn't have to be to create the best images so the people, when they see the film, they realize about, wow, that image is insane, but how they make them feel. Yeah. So for me, what I look for in my cinematography is to not get noticed when they watch the video. So I've done my work properly, because I put them into the world of the character or whatever world is in that film. So they don't have to stop and look to my cinematography, but to the story itself and to the world created on it. Yeah, I don't want to be my cinematography very present. At least that's what I'm going for, and what I want to try to improve. But I want to keep things simple, honestly. I don't try to go too crazy, at least right now in the stage where I'm at right now. And I just want to challenge me all the time as well. That's something that I really like to, I'm always trying to look for, to challenge myself, to limit myself. That's why I really like working on documentaries as well, because they challenge you a lot. You're always very limited and you want to do more, but at the same time you can go that far, but you try to go just where you can, and that makes you improve a lot. And then when you have budget and you have more resources, you're able to do incredible things. I would say that my cinematography is a mixing. It's now like transitioning. Mm-hmm. It comes from a very travel-ish and documentary, more kind of documentary background, and like going more into a commercial and narrative. Nice. Which is having more time to set up everything and stuff. But yeah, I would say basically it's based on that.
Nice, love that. It's a good answer.
Thanks, bro.
Yeah. Being intentional with the images you create.
Yeah, being intentional. And also wanted to say that I really like to think about the why of any of my decisions, the lane choice, the lining, the what movements I'm using to tell the images that you discuss with the director. Is not just my decision, and I really like to also from the director to know what kind of world do I have to create around the characters, because that's actually where I want to put my focus on, which is creating an actual world and not images. It's not the image, it's the world that you have to create through the images. So yeah, being very intentional. I think that's the main job of a cinematographer, being very intentional. Otherwise, you're not really, you're just scratching the surface. You're not getting deep into the why of your work.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think that goes actually into a second question, which is, what's the first step that you do once you get a project brief from a director or from an agency?
Okay, so let's break it down into parts. If I get it from a director, I always try to have a conversation with them about the whole thing about the project. In general, going into more specific, because I really want to know the why of everything in the story. Because in that way, as I said before, I can be intentional in any of my decisions. I want to know why the character feels like this, why the character did this, why the location is this one, what's the mood of everything. I really want to try to ask him as many questions as I can, because that way I can be more intentional, basically.
I like that approach. That's why I like working with him. Now let's talk to people that are at the beginning of their journey as a cinematographers. Okay. Maybe it's videographers with 2-3 years of experience that really want to step up the game and improve on cinematography. So what should they focus on first, in their skill set, why they should focus on it?
Okay.
And what would be your approach?
So first of all, I want to say that I don't consider myself a cinematographer yet. I am aspiring cinematographer, so I have a lot to learn. I've just been in this journey for 3-4 years, so I have a lot to learn. But I would say to any aspiring cinematographer that you have to feel that you are a cinematographer since you decide you want to be one, because without that perspective of yourself, you won't put yourself in that mindset. So that's the first step for me. Always the same in whatever you do. If you want to be a professional car racer, let's say, you have to feel like that, because if you don't manifest that you want to be that, you won't be that. And meaning that not meaning that the life won't bring you the opportunities, that it won't if you don't create your own luck. But to be able to reach that point, you don't have to be fear about saying that I'm a cinematographer. I say it, but then I also say that I'm aspiring. I'm in the way there, and I think that's the humble part of that. So first of all, I would do that. I would put myself in a perspective of knowing that I really want to get there, and I really feel like that I'm a cinematographer, or I'm going that direction. And after that, the first thing that I would do as a cinematographer, aspiring cinematographer, would be learning a lot, and learning in the sense of watching a lot of movies, music videos, documentaries, also YouTube videos. You learn a lot in there. It's the main place to learn right now. But there's a difference between learning on YouTube and learning watching actual projects, which is that in YouTube they give you all the information, and when you watch movies and commercials and documentaries, you have to extract the information, and that's the best way to learn from me, because you really have to pay attention to that, and you really have to try to find those things that the cinematographer in this case did in that project, how he light something, that you screenshot the image and then you try to know how he light that. Even after that, you can try to find the BTS, so you know if you were right or not. Same with movies, same with music videos. Try to watch a lot of BTS, and that for me would be the first step before doing anything else. And then after you've done that, just go out there and try. Go out there and shoot your own things. Take time to understand the lighting. Take time to understand how it affects everything that's around us. And I would also say that try to photograph as much as you can. That's
a good one.
That's something that helped me a lot. I just bought a little Fuji, and you don't need a camera, by the way. You can do it with your phone. I was doing with my phone before that, but I just found that having a little camera, doesn't need to be even a good one, but having something that you can manipulate the aperture and change the aperture and all the settings helps you a lot when you're imagine like go to the beach with your friends, watch sunset, and you feel attracted to this scenario, and you really can like pull your camera out and like start shooting. And when you're shooting, you're learning and you're practicing and you're training your eye basically.
Yeah.
So for me, first focusing on learning a lot, and not just indirect like learning, but more directly like searching for the information and then putting into practice, not just shooting actual project as just like a sequence or with your friends, or just a framing, trying to find one framing each day that you really like. That I think those things are going to help you a lot.
Yeah, I love that. I think all of these tips are really good, guys. I really love the first one where you said like stepping into that role of, you know, cinematographer or director or whatever you want to be, because I think that's extremely important. And I think that what is also important is when you decide to step into that role, and I'm talking from my experience, does it feel authentic to you? Does it feel good? Or does it feel like something that you maybe only want because it's trendy or because that's how people do it?
Important.
And that's what I've been exploring that a lot, because I love shooting, you know, I love documentaries, directing, but I know that I don't want to be cinematographer or just a cinematographer. I don't want to step just into that role because it just doesn't feel fully correct, you know?
Of course.
So I think it's important to like knowing what you want, and when you decide to step into that role, also listening to your inner self. What does it tell you? You know?
Of course, and it could change as well in the
can
future. I've had that internal battle a lot of times, because at the beginning I wanted to be director. I honestly, at the beginning of when I was starting doing videos, I was really good at writing stories and like coming up with the structure of a story.
Yeah.
And I feel that I'm not that good anymore, and I'm better creating images. And I think that that's because I felt a call to be a cinematographer. I almost didn't choose it, so that's why I feel I want to be a cinematographer right now. But I also love stories, and maybe right now I have to explore that area, and in the future I want to be director. So I explored cinematography before, and I also know that, you know.
Maybe switch.
Yeah, maybe, why not? Who knows? So yeah, I think that's super important to keep in mind. And also I wanted to say a little message, which is sometimes, and because I experienced this before, you call yourself a cinematographer, but you don't have like a social proof.
You don't have a red.
Yeah, you don't know the red.
Anyway,
No.
Carlos has a red. We'll talk about it later.
No, but maybe you haven't proved the world that you are a cinematographer because you haven't put like a proper project out there.
Yeah.
But doesn't matter, guys. If you feel that you are a cinematographer, and you want to be a cinematographer, and you want to have projects as a cinematographer, don't let people tell you that you are not, because you are whatever you want. And maybe you are not professional cinematographer or the best cinematographer, but you are going there. You're getting there.
Yeah, it's a journey.
So it's journey. So they were in the same position as you are now, and I'm sure that if someone tell you, no, you're not a real cinematographer because you don't do this, you don't do that, you don't have awards, you don't have whatever, don't let them, like, don't believe that. They can say whatever they want, but don't believe that. You just have to believe in yourself and your image of yourself, and try to see yourself not from a judgment perspective, but from an observatory perspective, and try to let yourself see how you feel, and don't take those comments or the perspective of the other people too serious, because you can be whatever you want to be.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
that's very important.
I like that. Okay, now we all love gear, so just a little easy, quick answer.
Okay.
What is your current gear setup?
So right now, like, we're shooting on my mirrorless camera, which is Lumix S5 2X. Amazing camera, insane. You can shoot 6K open gate, 10 bits. The image quality is insane. I just love that camera.
Yeah.
It's insane. I mean, but we all know that in front of clients you cannot work with this. And some you can, but not all of them. So you need bigger setups and like names in your camera. So that's why I own a red Komodo, which is the smaller body, the cheaper camera. It's a beast of a camera. It's insane. For documentary and travel, it's a really good one because it's super small. It's literally like this. I just think that you have to, in terms of gear, you have to find what fits you the best. Right now, for me, is the Lumix for some things, for YouTube or for little like small gigs. and the Komodo as a cinematographer because it's super powerful. It's been used in big
sure.
movies, big productions, and it's just an amazing camera. So that's what I'm using right now, together with the DCO film lenses,
Nice.
which are super clean. They don't have any character, so it's good to play, like to be able to filtrate and play with. You can create characters over it. So yeah, I'm just playing with that right now.
So, as beginner filmmakers, oftentimes you don't work with budgets,
Yeah.
or you don't possess big amounts of savings, because maybe you're young, maybe you're at the beginning of your career. So, how do you practice lighting when you cannot afford to buy or even rent lights? What would be your approach?
I think as aspiring cinematographers, we don't have to focus on using artificial lights to learn. We just have to focus on using the biggest light we all have, which is the sun. Like you're gonna be shooting under the sun most of the times. You can even shoot indoors with sun. Like you can you have to really learn how to use the sun before using anything else. So the first of all, really get into practicing how to light with the sun, how to bounce it, how to cut it, how to shape with sunlight. And once you've done that and you want to move into the artificial light, just use practicals. Practicals are like, in fact, in most of the bigger productions with bigger films, a lot of the scenes are shot with practicals, or mostly with practicals. Maybe they use like a fill light or whatever, or they like just help the lighting with something else. But most of the times it's practicals. It's not that complex. So I'm currently in the stage of starting to play with bigger lighting. So I'm still learning a lot, but I feel confident because I know the basics.
Yeah.
I know how lighting works, and I just have to learn more about all the fixtures that you can find out there. But I think it's at the end, lighting is very basic. You can do beautiful things with the basics. So I would say learn the basics very good, like very, very good. And after that, just start like playing with practicals, maybe like a little light that you can rent, not even buy, but you can rent like those puppet tubes. Those tubes are, if I had to choose one light to shoot an entire movie, it would be like puppet tubes.
Yeah,
it's insane. Like you can do whatever you want with that. You can really create a good look with that. So yeah, that would be my answer. Focus on the basics first, and once you know how to manage that, just like start getting closer to those bigger things.
So in your opinion or in your experience, what are the best sources for learning cinematography and for gaining knowledge, whether you're a beginner or experienced cinematographer?
I think for everyone it's the same. Movies, documentaries, commercials, YouTube. I think everything is out there. Even books, like books are insane. And there's one thing that I recently found that works very well with me. I don't know why I didn't come up with this before, but it's books, and not books like about cinematography, but narrative books.
Yeah.
Why? Because when you're reading, this is insane how the brain works. When you're reading, if you realize, when you're reading like a novel or whatever, you're creating the images in your mind. You're coming up with linings, compositions, with focal lengths. You're creating literally that movie in your mind. And that's super powerful because you can extract those ideas and trying to make them real.
That's awesome.
So like reading books is, even for me, it will be the next step of watching movies, because watching movies, they give you the image and you extract information. But with reading books, especially narrative ones that have a story and you're coming up with the images for that story, which is what you will have to do as a cinematographer, to just like create the world around it. So you train your mind in a way that when a director approaches with the script, you read it and your mind's like creating.
And it's like that, right? Because directors approach you with a script, so you're actually creating the visual language through the letters on the paper.
Yeah, and I think nowadays a lot of people focuses on let's watch movies, break down the lighting, break down the everything, BTSs, and that's really good. Most of the times to learn the technique, but the creativity, I think it comes better from the pure imagination. And pure imagination is just like thinking, not watching, it's thinking. And for me, it's working crazy. Like I always feel more creative after reading a book. It's insane. Like you have to try, guys. Like it's insane. It's insane.
That's so cool, huh?
That would be my best advice.
That's a really good tip. This one, I'm interested in this one. What goes through your mind when selecting lenses for project that you're working on?
Okay, so I would say two things. First is creative. Second is logistics-wise. Put the example of our project in Himalayas. By the way, what the fuck we're gonna shoot in Himalayas? That's crazy.
It's a secret.
Yeah. But I won't talk too much about it. But for example, in Nepal, you said that you wanted vintage glass, and I thought that a lot of the vintage glass, not the like the rehoused one, the proper cinema one, is very heavy. It's big, and you cannot carry with it. So I thought, what's a really good, a really sharp one that has a really good character, vintage character, and it's super small, and I think it's gonna work good in like hard conditions of like natural conditions. And I thought about the Lakers. Leica R, even Zeiss is good, but I feel Lakers are better for what we're trying to tell. And I proposed him that idea, like the Lakers, and he thought it was cool. So that would be like my way to go, because I would love chosen, for example, from my own perspective, for example, anamorphics for that, because you can create a lot of emotion with anamorphics, but I don't think it's realistically possible and logistic-wise, because they are heavy, they are bigger, they are harder to focus, and maybe if you are in a not good climate conditions, like trying to focus, it's not gonna be easy. So Lakers were a good option.
Yeah.
So yeah, try to answer those two questions. I think it's a good way to go.
So creative and logistic.
And logistic, yeah. Sometimes creative could be like you come up with a lens, but then logistics, like debate, like goes opposite to that answer, and you cannot. So you have to balance.
What do you look for in director when he approaches you for work?
First of all, I want that if I'm gonna participate in a project, I want that director to be fully into it and very motivated about it, and not just like, hey, let's jump on a project. No, I want people who's really into that project, as Jakub is usually in his project. So he's very super focused. He's always like sending things, and he's very into it. So I like that interest into like the project. So that would be my first thing. And then I would like them to explain me in detail what they have in the mind, because as a cinematographer, my first duty is to get into your mind and understand the world that you created, like, or you want for that project to happen, or that story to happen. So I would say first, making sure that that person is very interested and really focused on that project, and second, trying to understand very deeply their vision about the project. Yeah. Cool. So they wouldn't have to explain me very well what they have in mind.
How important is personality for you when working?
A lot. Of course, we have to. I mean, you cannot work with someone you don't connect with. So, of course, that's basic too. So, like for example, you and I think we connect very well, and that motivates me to propose you the projects that I don't want to direct, for example. So that's very beautiful as well when you find a director that you like. You really feel connected with, not just in terms of filmmaking interests, but also like personally.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, for sure, like that's one of the main things.
Yeah, 100%. Cool. Last question. What advice would you give videographers who are 2 to 3 years in their career and really want to step up the game into becoming a DP? Because you were at that point as well. Right?
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm at that point right now. I'm like 3-4 years into the filmmaking. And I just find like putting the money and the time into the project that you really want to do. Like spec work, basically. Spec documentaries, narrative, or commercials, whatever, but spec work. And yeah, I would say it's basically that, because everything that comes around that, it's like learning and putting into practice.
So tip 1, spec work.
Spec work.
Tip 2, investing into yourself, projects, education.
Yeah.
And third advice?
My third advice would be don't get caught up into the buying gear and showing that you have the best things. Just keep investing more into the a spec work and into your formation, learning more, basically, like buy courses or whatever.
Okay, bro, that's it.
Yeah,
thank you for all the knowledge that you provided. I think it was super helpful, and I definitely learned a lot myself. I'm sure that the projects that we have planned coming together soon.
Yeah.
And it's so bad that you're leaving, man.
Thank you.
Carlos is leaving Bali tomorrow.
But I'm going to a beautiful place.
Yeah. And as I said before, it's extremely important to have mentors when you are in the beginning of your journey or when you're transitioning. So I just wanted to bring up that Carles and also me, we do one-to-one coachings. So if you would want to have someone who guides you on your journey, check our website, and then maybe you align with our visions, with our beliefs, and maybe we can teach you something and we can learn something from you as well. And that's it for today. I'll see you in the next video next Tuesday, and check the other video on Carles' channel because he did an interview with me as well.
Yeah, that's very interesting. See you.
Peace.
Nice, brother.
bro.
That was nice.
Yeah.